Good morning.
What's new, Buenos Aires?
I have to say, we're very good about usually starting on time or very close to time. Some of these live streams, they keep you waiting 8-9 minutes.
Really?
Theater time. And
I hate live streams.
we're very punctual. And live from New York, it's Thursday morning.
Tuesday, Thursday, April, August.
Time heals everything. It's a song. And time heals everything.
Alrighty.
Do you like my name today?
Oh, I haven't even looked at it yet. Ben Bickerstaff.
That's Elaine Page's birth name.
Oh, okay.
Name Bickerstaff.
I was gonna try to make a joke about a Bickerstaff, but
I feel like I am the Bickerstaff. I'm like an executive in that department.
Yes. So how has your journey been going on the Evita Facebook?
It's so deep. I can't even tell you. I mean, like, I am really in the weeds.
I kind of feel like you joined a cult.
I definitely have. What's so funny is that, like, I thought I was already, like, in the heart of the Evita cult. Hey, big spenders. You know my name, Kenneth.
Hey, Kenneth.
I really thought I was, like, as deep as a person could go, but I'm, like, thank you, Darren. But I'm, like, really, like, so deep, all back in it, like, all in. Like, my brain is in so many different places. Like, on one hand, I'm just on this, like, personal journey with Elaine Page that goes so far beyond Evita. And then, although we will come back to Elaine Page Evita because that's my AVP, ironically, or not. But I'm also, like, really just fascinated by all the original run of London replacements. And then I mentioned I had this disdain compared to my interest in the London replacements originally. I have this disdain for the replacement Evas in New York and in the States. However, I really need to have this obsessive, like, OCD need to catalog.
Hey, Zoe.
Hey,
Norway.
Tuck, Norway, Tuck. I want to catalog all the Broadway and national tour replacements. Like, I'm dying to know the exact night that, like, Lonnie Ackerman closed in LA, and, like, did she get a day off before she opened on Broadway replacing Darren Alte?
You should write that book.
Pardon?
You should write that book. Like,
Jeffrey Self said that to me yesterday, but I'm like, that information should just be on IBDB. I don't know why the dates aren't there.
Yeah.
Good day, Michelle Stan.
Michelle.
And then weirdly, the other thing is that now, like, just last night, I was seized with this desire to just, like, watch Evita. So I got all these bootlegs sent to me, but of course, like, my eyes are bigger than my stomach because, like, now I have, like, 97 Evita bootlegs to watch. But also I was thinking, have you ever seen Evita?
I've never seen it. I saw the City Center recent production, but I've never seen the movie.
Okay, I really think we should corn stream the movie, and I really want to watch the movie with you at some point.
Yeah,
I guess those would go together. I mean, we don't have to watch it together. I mean, that'd be fun too. But I feel like whether we watch it together or not, I think we should corn stream the movie.
That would be a good thing for me to have under my belt.
I'd like to put that under your belt, personally. Yeah, I'm just all Evita all the time. I said it more. It's truer than ever.
Well, I just have to give a shout out. It's so nice. Our usual listeners, viewers, just coming on and being so faithful. I have to say, last night I was going to bed and I kind of had a rough day. So I was like, I just can't wait tomorrow. I'll get to see Ben and I'll get to see Taryn and Kenneth and Zoe and Caroline and
BroadwayWorld Norway.
BroadwayWorld Norway. So yeah, this has really been fun.
I feel like we have to tell, like, the peeps at BroadwayWorld, like Nicole and, like, Rob, like, they need to know that we're, like, down with BroadwayWorld Norway. Like, we are not just one of their random, like, you know, live stream team members. Like, we are actually, like, in with Norway.
We're cheating on them with Norway.
Well, it's a department, you know.
Ever heard of a
Austrian understudy? No, but that's hilarious. Wait, BWN, that needs to go in my coffee table book about Evita.
Yes.
We have to talk.
Yeah, I cannot believe I have never seen that movie.
I know.
As you know, I've only recently gotten into Madonna.
Well, for me, Madonna, Evita, which I like a lot, and you know I love Madonna, it's an anomaly. It's like the way I feel about Rufus Wainwright, Judy Garland. It's like, I love Rufus Wainwright. He's so important to me, as is Madonna. When he came for Judy Carnegie Hall, kind of like when she came for Evita, truth be told, what other gay pop star was I hoping would do Judy?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
who would I rather have Michelle Pfeiffer in Evita instead of Madonna? No, you know, so I enjoy what they did there, but that's not part of my experience of them, the way they feature in my heart, you know?
Yeah. What if Barbara had done it?
I mean, that is the question. But, you know, a lot of people are in that what if category. I mean, Barbara actually didn't get as close, even though it was more talked about in like pop culture and Forbidden Broadway. The person that was closer to it was Liza.
Oh, right. And didn't Meryl screen test for it?
Meryl was really, Meryl for years, several different incarnations with Oliver Stone. Meryl was like really, 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 really going to do it. And Meryl, if Meryl hadn't pulled out and asked for more money, I think it was like in 1989 after Postcards from the Edge, that probably would have happened.
Wow.
And the Liza movie with Ken Russell, according to like what I've been reading lately, that would have happened. Ken Russell, who directed Tommy and stuff, that probably would have happened if it hadn't been for Andrew Lloyd Webber, Tim Rice, and Robert Stigwood wanting Elaine Page instead.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Norway. You know what's funny, I can't believe that Andrew Lloyd Webber wanted Elaine Page more than Liza, and yet then he didn't cast Elaine Page in Aspects of Love or Sunset Boulevard.
He has weird.
Yeah, maybe we should go to my Aubrey Patty because we're really on the turf right now.
Okay.
I hardly know the woman.
Well, my Aubrey Patty today is the original London cast recording of Evita. Now, sometimes the concept recording of Evita from 1976 is erroneously referred to as the original London cast, but it's not that. It's a 1976 concept recording with Julie Covington and Colm Wilkinson. It's a double disc, and it's very special, and it's worth its own deep dive for so many different reasons. For Julie's searing vocals and punk rock aesthetic, and for Colm Wilkinson, hello, and for the weird subplot about Che as an insecticide salesman, and for all the strange lyrics that fit awkwardly in the music. And when you know the score the way it's been done on stage for 40 years, it's so bizarre to hear all these weird little additional parts that we just can't get into today. But I highly recommend everyone deep dive that album. Yes, Ken Russell, our Ken Russell.
Our Ken Russell.
Right album. So anyway, that is that. But the original London cast recording is the disc of the London stage cast from the Prince Edward Theatre in 1978, for which Elaine Page won her first Olivier Award. It was then called the Society of West End Theatres Award, but whatever. And it really made Elaine Page a star. And I have several problems with this album.
Okay, get into it.
So my first beef is, I believe, probably with the record company, because why is this a single disc highlights to begin with? Evita is not a show that you want a single disc highlights of. If you're going to offer that as an alternate selection for dummies, fine. But it's not a show that you want like that. It's a show that, just like its predecessor, Jesus Christ Superstar, it is, you know, it was the beginning of this era of these British sung through pop operas, you know.
Yeah.
And where it's just all musicalized, you know, there is no libretto. The libretto is set to music as in opera style, you know, how you say in English, recitative. Thank you. But, you know, you need all those parts. Like, those are what makes it great. So it's already just like a horrible crime against Evita to do this. Now, I don't know. Maybe Angela Weber and Tim Rice fought this hard, or maybe they made the wrong choice. I'm sure they would have preferred it. I mean, the fact is that from the original concept recording, Julie Covington's single of Don't Cry For Me, and Barbara Dickson, future originator of Mrs. Johnson and Blood Brothers, Barbara Dickson's single of Another Suitcase, Another Hall, both became charting pop hits in Europe and in the UK and stuff, just not in the States. So maybe thinking along the lines of the pop charts, they thought a single disc of Evita would have a better chance of being on the album charts than a double disc. But they were very wrong, because I mean, maybe it did. I think it may have charted somewhat in that time in the UK, but in the long test of time, it was a huge disservice to the piece and to that cast. And I know that the intention during that run was for Elaine Page to take the show to Broadway, and they had announced that in all kinds of gossip columns and everything. And then there's different accounts, but basically American Equity wouldn't let them have her, because you can have somebody that's a foreigner who's a star, because there's no substitute for them in American Equity, but she was not considered a star because that was like her star-making role, but whatever. But so maybe thinking that Elaine Page would be on Broadway, they figured they would wait and do the double disc for the Broadway cast with Elaine Page. I don't know, but I mean, it did a major disservice to my fandom of Elaine Page, because some of the most important parts of Evita that you judge your Evita by, including like the crazy high parts that Patti legendarily sang in that unforgettable Tony Awards performance of A New Argentina, he supports you for, where she has to hit the G. I mean, what belter role has a G? Eden Espinosa in Brooklyn. That's like the only time, like that. Elaine didn't get to record that, and I always felt like, what don't they want us to know?
Yeah, what aren't they telling us?
Yeah, and nowadays I have Boots and I can hear, I mean, she did it kind of weird, but she could, I mean, you could say what you want about Elaine Page, but like the fact that like to say that she couldn't belt high would not be the right criticism, Now
you got the house down.
Yeah. So, and then I'm also just mad at Andrew Lloyd Webber, because like yesterday I was just like going through the cast album of the London original cast of Evita to figure out like, are there things here I would cut? Like, let's say they really had no choice and the record company was like, I'm sorry, like, you're not like a baron yet, Andrew Lloyd Webber. Like, take it or leave it. We're giving you a single disc. You have to fit it on one record, So are there things I would cut to make room for the things that we obviously want? And yes! So Andrew Lloyd, first of all, his stupid fucking tempos are too fucking slow. I doubt Elaine Page did that in the theater every night. I'm sure he just sat there because he was like drunk on red wine. I mean, I know how alcohol makes you want a slow tempo when you're in charge. When I used to direct Cabaret and I was still drinking, I always said that the audience has a 2-drink minimum. So got to put myself in their headspace for rehearsal. And I remember when I was directing Cole Scola's first solo show at Joe's Pub in 2011. And I was months from rehab. I was in my cups. And Cole and our brilliant musical director, Ray Feldman, would come over to my apartment and we would meet at like 10 p.m. to start rehearsal and just get tanked. And I remember I would just be like, nope, slow it down. It's too fast. And it's because you're drunk and you want to take the journey with the music, but you're not sharp and quick. So you need everything ground to a halt. And I'm so sure that's Andrew Lloyd Webber. He would go to dinner and he probably started drinking during the day, and he'd go to the theater and he wants to hear his searing, and it's like all happening too fast. And so he's slowing down the tempo. And so first of all, you could probably fit a ton more if you had this CD at the Patti tempos, but whatever, that's one thing. And then even just like, why do you have to include the fucking Requiem for Evita? It's like, it's you could just start with Oh, What a Circus, like normal people would choose to do, and then you'd have room, and I mean, they had a brand new song, Perron's Latest Flame, for that theatrical debut of Evita in the West End, and they didn't even record it. And it's so funny because a lot of people would think that the changes that were made for the stage Evita that began in London were made between the UK and the United States, because they didn't hear those changes on record until Patti's double disc Broadway cast album. But most of those changes, almost all of them, were in place for the London stage production. They just weren't captured because it's that stupid highlights disc. I mean, it's unconscionable that Elaine doesn't have the high parts in A New Argentina. And it's unconscionable that she doesn't get to do Ava and Magaldi, Ava Beware of the City. I mean, that is some of the most important, I mean, you know, in a way, even more than Buenos Aires, that's really Evita's establishing character material, some of her best belting, some of the most fun, dramatic storytelling, Tim Rice cartoon history of the universe aesthetic lyrics. It's crazy that that wasn't captured and that we just, it's terrible. And, you know, and then it's like, you know, I mean, I guess I would have cut She's a Diamond, Perón solo. I mean, it's sad to do. And Joss Ackland, who created the role of Perón on stage in London, is a brilliant actor and a great singer. And he went on to a great career on stage in plays and musicals and film and all this shit. But like, you know what? You could have lost that song. It's not, they had to have a disproportionate, they couldn't cut anything of Che's, I think, because David Essex was a pop star. So, you know, he was probably his presence that guaranteed a recording. I did not know that. I mean, I think I remember reading stuff about how Lloyd Webber's separate piece, the Requiem, that thing with Sarah Brightman, you know, that quasi-classical piece was about his father's death, but I didn't know that his father had written the Requiem music in Evita. Well, thank you, Broadway World Norway. I wonder if that's why Angela Weber would have been loath to not include that. But I don't know. I mean, I if I'd been there with like a red pen, like I would have fought for my girl Elaine, you know. And look, I am now in this moment in time more into Elaine Page than I've ever been, and Evita is still not my Elaine Page. Like I like Elaine Page in full 80s pop mode in like Chess. I like her in like just classic, you know, great music, better than Angela Weber, Piaf belting mode, you know, heart on the sleeve. And I like her in what I've recently gotten into her as is like a Thighs and Whispers kind of like generational divide, like chanteuse a la like late 70s Bette Midler, you know. I don't really, Elaine Page's Evita for me is kind of like Angela Lansbury's Gypsy, except where Angela Lansbury is doing that with Sondheim and Julie Stein. It works a lot better than Elaine doing it with Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice. But it's just like a little too like scrappy, and it's not enough like, you know, just like power. I feel like she's an Evita that would scratch your eyes out, whereas like Patty's an Evita that would like breathe fire and like incinerate you, you know?
Yeah, or have someone else do the dirty work.
yeah, maybe. I'm not so sure.
Hey, Michelle. Okay, so
read that.
I'm a newbie and kind of stumbled across you. What's the podcast about?
We don't know.
Right now, it's in a transitional period, as the world is. It's called Broken Records, but right now we're not talking about albums. We're talking about movies and concerts that we stream live, or not stream live, but we stream and then we talk about them.
And this relates to the Elaine Page Evita cast recording now.
Oh my God, this is so much. I can't read this. But thanks.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting. She's saying that, I don't know if it's a she. I always say she about Broadway World Norway. But anyway, there's Angela Weber's Variations, dun, 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 played on cello? Violin, by his brother, Julian Lloyd Webber. Not to be confused with John Lennon's son, Julian Lennon, but I digress.
Oh my God, my computer is like, I have like one book is slightly higher than the other, so it's a little wobbly. You know, I love hearing you talk about the double disc, because that's such a thing that like this new, like the younger generation will never understand, like the joy of like a double disc cast recording. You know, going to Barnes and Noble or going to Tower Records or wherever you went to get your music. And, you know, as a kid in Oklahoma, I didn't know, you know, anything about Broadway except for what I got on recording. So I would, paw through the Barnes and Noble Broadway section, and if there was a double disc, that was the one I wanted, because that was, more music and more content. And I'll never forget, I was a fan of Into the Woods because of the video that we all watched and grew up watching. and they had a double disc. However, it tricked you because there was only one CD in there.
So bizarre. There was a whole bunch of those kind of albums, like the original Broadway cast's album of Candide on CD was like that too. And I think maybe On the 20th Century. And it was so strange. And then there were single discs that were, and then there were double discs that were sold in a single disc package, or two. Like Evita did not come in a proper double disc box, which drove me crazy. It came as two separate single discs, which later on they packaged inside a cardboard, little like case that you could put them in, so at least they stayed together, but originally they didn't. And this is so crazy. I took one of those double disc boxes from a single disc of one of my other things, like Into the Woods or something, and I like cut and pasted the Evita thing to put it in there. And the black logo didn't cover the full space, so I like used like black magic marker to like fill it out. It looked so terrible, and then I regretted that I had done it. And people, like I'd go to my friend Deborah's house, and like her Evita, yeah, it was in two separate boxes, but they were like beautiful and pristine as they like, mint condition. I was like, I'm so stupid.
That's so you. I don't think I ever saw a double tape.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Elaine Page, the original Chess London concept recording was a double tape, and everything that was a double disc was a double tape. But I don't remember. I think by the time I was like spending money and buying cast recordings, I really didn't buy tapes. I still had a Walkman in those years, but I would copy the CDs onto a tape for the car or for my Walkman or whatever.
Oh, I copied plenty of CDs onto tape. I remember copying the Titanic soundtrack. I copied the CD onto tape for my third grade teacher so we could listen to it during our study time.
Well, even what you might not remember is, did you ever make tapes from the radio?
I don't think so. Maybe there was like one song that I had, like maybe that Inya song. I can't remember.
There's Elaine Page tells a story about how she was driving home one night in the early 80s, and they said this is a song from Andrew Lloyd Webber's new musical Cats that came on the radio, and it was Memory, and she was like, oh my god, this is so incredible, and she like raced into the house to like tape it, and that's the night she got the call from Cameron McIntosh saying Judi Dench is leaving and we need someone, can you join us before opening night? And she had already fallen in love with the song, but what she doesn't say in the story, and what I always wondered was like, what recording of Memory were they playing? But now I was like, oh, it was probably Barbara.
Oh, right. That was on the radio. That was a big hit for her.
So, and I didn't realize that had come out before it even opened in London. But Elaine didn't mention Barbara in the story.
She wouldn't. It's so funny that you bring up Elaine Page's Cats, because that was another VHS tape that I was obsessed with and I would watch over and over. And I remember I played the video on my TV, and then I recorded onto a cassette tape. I just recorded the sound coming from the TV because I wanted to be able to listen to Cats in the car, like when my mom was driving me around. So I played the VHS on TV and then recorded it to cassette, and then would listen to that really horrible recording in the car.
Well, speaking of things you played, we better cut to your who you are.
Speaking of divas who sing with all chest and gravitas, my Who Do You Think You Are?
Who do you think you are?
Today is the one and only marvelous Marilyn May. And for those who don't know who Marilyn is, she is a 92-year-old performer, I think. Now, she just turned 92 back in March, I believe. And my favorite performer to see live, especially in Provincetown. I've seen her so many times and I want to see her again and again. Like if I was to become president and then like at my inauguration, Marilyn is who I would choose to sing, you know?
What would you have her sing?
I mean, probably like 50%. No, I would have her sing What the World Needs Now Is Love, or like that song, The Best Thing in Life, da, 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 get where you're going. But today, one of the great tragedies of my life and the life of people who love the theater is that we do not have a full recording available to us of Marilyn May as Dolly Levi, the full recording. However, there is this wonderful, wonderful clip that I've discovered on YouTube. It's horrible quality. It's her singing So Long Dearie, 11 o'clock number, Hello Dolly. But it's also like there's no audience, I don't think, because there's absolutely no applause, no noise. So it's like someone was recording this during a rehearsal or something. So it's a little weird, but you really get a taste of what her Dolly was like. She makes some really great choices, very Marilyn choices. So without further ado, Marilyn May.
Lumpy, but it rings. Oh, hear me, Horace, I'll be all dolled up and singing that song that says, you dog, I told you so. So, Horace, you will find your life a sad old story when you see your dolly shuffle off to glory. I should have said, so long, so long, so long ago. Woo!
Just like no audience reaction at the end. So
I think that's why she does that little woo.
yeah. So go back, obviously, everyone, and watch the whole thing. But she like just kind of rewrites the music, and she takes all these up options and does her little Marilyn jazzy riffs, which I live for. And she walks around the stage with that cane in a way that she makes it more choreographed than any of the ladies that we saw on Broadway have done. She uses like the top hat, the cane. It's so it's such an expansive number when she does it. Still wearing the red dress, not the blue and white one that everyone wears in the revival recordings. But yeah, so I just had to show a little Marilyn. The tape recording. Yeah, Sound of Music was another one that it had the double VHS. But anyway, so Marilyn May, we interviewed her on the podcast.
Great episode. Anyone that hasn't listened to it should for sure go back and listen.
Please listen to it. It's probably one of my favorite episodes. She's just such an inspiration, and she has been doing this for decades. And she was famously Johnny Carson's the singer who was on Johnny Carson the most, Johnny Carson's favorite. There's a lot of recordings of her from back in the day. A lot of her old studio albums are available, iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music. I listen to them all the time. She's just like old school, but at the same time, she's really like, hip. She does podcasts all the time. She still does master classes on a regular basis and teaches. I just saw that she is going to Provincetown to do the Crown and Anchor. Like, they're doing kind of those outside concerts now. So she's going to do that. Yeah, I just love her so much. When I told her how much I loved her after her Provincetown concert, I said, Marilyn, I just, you have such an intimate connection with the audience. I just felt like you were singing directly to me, especially on those love songs. And she said, well, honey, I am a cougar, Anyway, okay. So speaking of Dolly, let's go to our final segment, Dolly Concert Kill. As you guys know, you submit 3 people and we assign them to different parts. Hello, Club, but now the digital has the entire montage. As it should be.
Well, there is no restored digital tracks of the London cast of Evita. So.
But maybe, there's many things that we have said on this podcast that have suddenly come into being available.
No, that won't. Elizabeth Taylor, Elizabeth Montgomery, and Elizabeth Stanley.
This is good. Thank you, Dan. Do you want to do this one? Or do you want me to?
I want to.
Okay.
Okay, I want to see Elizabeth Taylor. I mean, I guess actually Elizabeth Montgomery would be kind of great as Dolly, just like scheming, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
very scheming.
And so then Elizabeth Taylor doing like an evening of you know, songs and stories, sending the clowns, the first act of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, you know, the Alice Ripley reference.
Wearing a caftan.
Wearing a caftan. And Elizabeth Stanley, unfortunately, will not be needed at this particular call.
Okay, Aisha Tyler, Gabrielle Union, Kerry Washington. I guess I would have Kerry and Dolly, An Evening with Aisha. I actually really used to love Aisha's podcast. I don't know if she still has it. And then, you know, Gabrielle Union, So Long, Dearie.
Oh, yes. Pearl Bailey, Isabel Sanford, Dorothy Dandridge. I mean, Dandridge. Okay. I want to see Isabel Sanford as Dolly.
I don't know who that is.
That's Wheezy Jefferson.
Oh, okay.
And she was just in something that maybe we even watched together. Oh, she was in Jackie's Back.
Yes.
I don't remember who she played, but and I mean, Pearl Bailey obviously was a legendary definitive Dolly in her own right, but I would want to see Pearl songs and stories. And I'm sorry, Dorothy, at least you have that great movie to tell your story.
That's right. Okay, well, with that, we are out of time. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Check out our podcast. This week was on the First Wives Club. And, of course, we have a new one coming out on Monday. And then we'll be back here on Tuesday and Thursday of next week. No. Will we?
Yes.
Yes, we will be next week. And that's our final week. And then we have more announcements for you guys. Stay tuned. Oh, wait. I need to play us out.
Tuesday, Thursday, April, August.
Time heals everything. It's a song. Time heals everything.